Sorry if you've been waiting for this today, but we're here now. The reason it's slightly late is because we've just run from one side of LinkedIn to the other, which is quite a long way. There's a lot of people in between, mainly HR bods, I find. But we've managed to get there from Studio A to Studio B. We've just been taking part in a audio event on LinkedIn, which was quite a novel experience, a bit like Clubhouse, but on LinkedIn.
Right.
A bit like this, but you can't see people's faces. So, which is great because it means you can eat crisps in the background.
Does that mean you haven't missed out on your lunch, Graham? Because
I haven't. I had my Twiglets whilst I wasn't speaking, so that was good.
Twiglets.
Yeah. So anyway, welcome to another Wow Ergonomics, sponsored by Backer Elkhuysen, and today we've got a special guest on who's now going to come in and do a regular slot on the show. Some weeks he won't be here in person; he'll be here in video, but today he is here in person. The wonderful Tom Morley. But before that, I've got to do is take that off so I can introduce Tom. Here he is. Tom, how are you, sir?
Hello. Yeah, I've just run from the other side of LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Well, I just nipped over and put the kettle on, which you can do now. They've got all sorts of new things on LinkedIn.
That's a new feature of LinkedIn, isn't it?
Yeah. After the laugh emoji, it was so popular. They thought, how about the cup of coffee emoji? Well, do you know what? It's 3D.
It's a coffee machine.
LinkedIn's gone 3D.
Yeah.
I'm very grateful for. Look, it's real. Look, you'll see. This is me before the coffee.
And there you go.
Yeah, caffeine injection.
LinkedIn coffee. You only get it here. Yeah.
There's a quick one for you. You mentioned the laughing emoji, which has popped up this week and caused some people to go into sort of a critical illness condition because they haven't got it. Sad life that some people lead. But what are we still missing emoji wise?
Well, I think just to come back to that, they've done it blue, right? Dark blue and light blue, which kind of suggests, what does it suggest? A sort of almost sardonic. You don't laugh blue, do you? Or it's like they're trying to say to their detractors, okay, we are giving you a laugh emoji, but it's blue. At least it's not, straight LinkedIn blue. It's still a little bit sky blue. But, talk about sitting on a fence. Much of that, I love LinkedIn. Are we on LinkedIn? Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
It's great, isn't it? That blue emoji. I love it.
It's great.
Oh,
love it. Massive fan.
It's like
it just looks cold, doesn't it, though?
Isn't it? It's like, oh, yeah. It's like the blues, right? The blues was... for a long time, I didn't understand the blues. And then people said, yeah, but what it is, it's taking the pain of life and making something beautiful with it. It's like... so life gives you lemon to make lemonade. I know lots of people say that, but that's kind of what the blues is. So the blue emoji is actually related to the blues, and it's a message of hope. I've talked to the LinkedIn people about it. In fact, I advised them on it. I said, why don't you make it blue? They said, no, we want to make it yellow. I said, no.
I think that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, think of the blues. And they said, okay, Tom. And
so what they're trying to do is they're trying to make something which is like the blues. The blues is seen as, it's meant to be from a sad place. Yeah, it's meant to be from an unhappy place, but maybe with some hope. They're trying to make that. It's like making blues into sort of pop. Is that what you're saying? I don't know. I don't really know what I'm saying there. But
or
Tom,
is it possibly, Graham? Is it possibly the fact that in the winter, when we can't afford to turn our gas and electric on, that's the colour we're going to go, and to stay warm, we're just going to have to laugh to almost generate our own sort of body heat.
Yeah, are you trying to say? I mean, I'm bipartisan here, but are you trying to say, like that boss of Ryanair, that the government couldn't even run a sweet shop? I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I think that's probably what you're saying, is it?
Yeah, I think that is. he's heading towards that, isn't he?
Zipper emoji, yeah.
Yeah, we got one of them. There is one of them, isn't there?
But that would need to be zippy, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
We could have Zippy, and we could have George as well. Do you know? Remember George that went with Zippy? Yeah. From
was
Rainbow.
Was he the softly spoken one?
He was the hippo that talked a bit like this, and then there was Zippy. Oh, what about? Yeah.
Would that program get made nowadays?
Yeah. I don't even know what program you're talking about.
Rainbow.
We're spanning several generations here.
Late 70s, early 80s,
Fill
mid
the
70s.
whole world with a rainbow. That one, yeah.
I didn't have that. I had the wooden tops and
the wooden tops, yeah, yeah, and characters made of spoons. Now you're very you like a good wooden spoon,
I like
don't
a good
you?
spoon, yeah. Funny you should say that. Two.
Yeah, because do you remember back in the day, a lot of children's programs were literally spoons that were dressed up with little eyes on them, and that was it.
Man, I've gone full circle.
And now they are ergonomic drumsticks.
Yeah.
Clave. Are they pre-used? Have they been used to prepare a meal? Have they mixed a spag bol in a previous lifetime?
That's the thing. These are just straight out the kitchen drawer. So that means if I can get mine straight out the kitchen drawer, other people can. And the great thing is, for 2 years, I've been getting people to play these online. And if I'd have done that at a physical conference, if I'd have sent them an email saying, bring 2 wooden spoons, we're going to play them at the conference, I'd get on stage, right? And I'd say, okay, everybody, where's your spoons? And they go, they're still in my case. Should I go and get them?
It wouldn't happen, would it?
No, other people would say, you should have put it in the first line of the email, mate. I only read the first line. That I'd probably have 3 people with wooden spoons and 197 going, yeah, this guy's not very good, is he, with his spoon thing? He should have just put them on the chairs as we came in, which I do actually have as an offer, branded. We burn their brand into the spoons.
Oh, love
but
that.
Of course,
nice.
They don't always want to pay for that. So consequently, in answer to your question, they're pre-used spoons.
Okay.
And I've just been saying to people, okay, go and get some wooden spoons. And they come back, maybe 1 spatula, 1 spoon. What else we've got in there? Yeah, there you go. Spatula. Will that do? Yeah, of course it'll do. Look, you can see. Pre-used or what?
That's a wok. That's a wok burn.
Yeah.
You can just tell, can't you?
That's been stir frying in a previous life, hasn't it, that one?
Yeah, wok burn team building. I like that.
Yeah. You could change your name to that, couldn't you? Wok burn team building.
Tom Wokburn. Yeah. If I could do it now, I would do it, but I don't know anything.
But he's about to publish his book, so that that might not work. Talking of which, there you are.
Whoa!
There's the opening gambit.
Whoa!
Just a Drummer by Tom Morley. We can't show you any more than that at this stage.
Why? I was only halfway through the first sentence.
But you see, that's the thing. We're teasing you with it.
Yeah.
Right. All you needed to know there was that there was a ginormous picture of Tom and the man himself, David Bowie. So just give us a little bit of that a tad of that story, Tom.
Okay, so I'm sitting by the canal in Camden Town. Mark from Madness goes by on his bike, and he said, we all knew each other kind of from the music press in those days. So he says, you're Tom, aren't you, from Scritti Politti? I said, yeah, you're Mark from Madness. And he said, come with me down the canal, probably about a mile. Madness had built this studio, right? Because they got fed up with always hiring studios. So they said, let's build our own. And they said, we want someone to test it. Have you got any songs? So I said, yeah, I've got some songs. I've just been writing them. That's why I was sitting by the canal having a break. So they said, come down next week. And I said, well, I haven't got a band yet. And they said, don't worry, we'll play on it because we want to test it. So I have Madness, right, playing on my demos. That also just started the record label. So when we finished recording the demos, I took it upstairs to their manager. I said, what do you think of my demos? He could hardly say the playing's not very good, is it? Because it was all these people and me singing over there. I even have Suggs doing backing vocals. Man. So they signed me up. They said we're recording at West Way Studios, Clive Langer's studio.
Yep.
David Bowie was there as well. And he was doing some recording. He needed some hand claps. And he said, any of you lot, can you come and do some hand claps? And I thought, David Bowie, blimey, I better prepare how I speak to him. And he said, Tom, screwy please, why don't you come? You've got a sense of rhythm. So weeks later, I was standing around this mic like this, like a dick, doing hand claps with David. I got it wrong. First time I got it, I was so anxious. And he said,
Wait, did you like miss the hands?
Yeah. I was
missed
slapping myself in the face and everything. and he was very kind. You know, he said, well, Tom, you know, I've only got so much time. If you don't get it right this time, I'll just double track it myself. So I got it absolutely spot on because I thought one day I'll be asked about this on LinkedIn, and I don't want to be saying I had a chance to do hand claps with David Bowie, and I fucked it up. I messed it up twice.
Yeah.
So.
Do you remember what track it was?
It is. Yeah, I remember what track it is. It's all in the book.
It's there you go. Good one. So
there
if you want to find out what track it was, then there you go. So what we're going to do now, as a kind of exercise in this, because I've never recorded hand claps, never done that. Tom was talking to me yesterday about triangle and the importance of triangle, and that may be something that we do next week. All right, we're bringing Tom's little video on triangle next week. So stay tuned for that. But hand claps, I've never done hand claps, so perhaps you could lead us in a little bit of hand claps. So what do you remember what the hand clap rhythm was? Or
well, it won't. First of all, it won't work because
right.
We'll all be out of time. However,
we'll try it.
I'll tell you what, let's do the clave beat, right?
Yeah.
This will be really great because it'll illustrate the difficulties I've had for the last 2 years, and why I've been such a hero. How the hell I'm still in business, I don't know. Because you can't, my whole offer was playing time. Here we go. One beat. You know, even in the warm-up on site, CEOs would come up to me and say, that's amazing. You know, I've never heard them play together before. And I go, we're just warming up, mate. We haven't even started the rhythm yet. So, but a rhythm we can get to is this, right? Simple. Da, 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 da. So why don't you can either clap or play to sticks. I'll begin like this, then I'll drop them. You carry on, and I'll join you.
Brilliant.
The internet may have got better. Da, 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 da. Yeah. That's good. So exactly what Graham's doing. Right, you're in the groove. Now, what is so good, right? And this is how I've stayed in business, is we're out of time, but we're out of time at the same beats per minute. So I'm playing about 120 beats per minute there. So so are you, Graham, so are you, Steve. We're out of time. But do you hear how it sounded actually cleverer than being in time?
Yeah.
So let's try that again. And this time, start with me, and then kind of, as Graham did, go wild. Yeah. Steve, I'm afraid you're a bit challenged here because Graham's used to going wild, and you're used to
natural beats this season.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Graham, you may want to move back a little bit so we can see if the lead will stretch. Hold on. See, I'm the leader, all right? Don't take over. People would think anyone could do it. Here we go. Oh, yeah. Syncopated or what? Yeah, now, move your shoulders a bit.
It's Graham's face.
Yeah, you see.
I've lost the beat now.
Yeah, well, it didn't show because it just sounded like you were being even cleverer than Graham and myself, who were in time. You were doing the sort of Radio 3 version, late night Radio 3.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah, you look like that kind of guy, Steve. I'm
Thanks.
sure you're right. Yeah.
Is that a compliment? I'll take it.
So that's what I've been doing for 2 years.
I do have the whole body rocking. I mean, the thing for me is, and I've never been great at drums. I play guitar, etc. But it's when you get into a groove, you focus, don't you? But you actually start forgetting about other things that don't.
Oh, absolutely. That's why people have put me at the front of a conference, because they've all those emails, the rows they had, trouble at the airport, Start with me. It's gone. It's gone. And then they can have, attention for the next 2 days. However, sometimes they say, we want you at the end to have this big extravaganza. And I say, yeah, all right, I will do the end, but put me on just for 15 minutes at the beginning. And I guarantee you'll then have this kind of rainbow of attention till I come back. And but sometimes they listen, sometimes they don't. Sometimes they put me on at the end. Everyone's bored out their skull from watching 2 days of PowerPoint.
Yeah.
I get them all going, and then they say, do you know what? We should have put you at the beginning.
Yeah.
So we're going to make Tom a regular guest on the show, Stephen. And one of the things we want to do as a challenge, this is a challenge to you, challenge to me, challenge to everybody that's watching as well. So we want to get on some CEOs, some powerful leaders in business, etc., to come on and do their thing with Tom, right? Just to experience what the Morley effect, effectively, yeah. Because it's a really, really powerful thing. And then if they love it, they can book Tom, and they can have them at their conferences, etc. I mean, he'll do them a family rate,
mates rates
of several thousand. But it was just do. That's what we will do.
And so, how many people can you get on the screen all at once?
We can get 10 at the time. Okay. Yeah.
Right. Okay, so, I didn't know you can do that, but I can get a couple of people for next week for sure.
Great idea.
Yeah.
Susan, if you're in touch with people, and that's what we want to do. If we've got people watching, if you know people, if you know a team in an office,
bring them on, man. This is the cheapest team build they will ever do.
Yeah, we're doing. They can't have the whole thing. They can just have a few minutes of it with Tom on here, and then then we'll get in touch with you afterwards and see whether you want to get it into your office, or in your next conference. Okay.
This is blue sky thinking. If I had a blue laugh emoji, I'd hit.
You'd be pressing it furiously now.
Laugh. We need a blue sky thinking emoji. We need a cool. Actually, that's creative emoji.
Yeah. Do you know what would be good? You could make it square, because all the other emojis are circular, right? Just have a square blue thing, graduated tint, light blue, dark blue. There you go.
Really good. Really good.
If anyone from LinkedIn is watching, you can have that instead of paying Saatchi and Saatchi millions.
You can absolutely have
Tom's your man.
It's a gift. It's a gift. But make it square, really sharp, because then all the serious people will go, oh, yeah, they're really serious about blue sky thinking. Don't make it in some bubble. They'll go, they're even more hippie than before. Make it super sharp.
Now, listen, we've got a treat for you both today. An absolute treat. Normally on this show, we play the great nearly ergo quiz, right? Which is a quiz where people vote on their phones, and it's questions which are nearly about ergonomics. Today, we thought we'd change all of that, and we've got our very own quiz master in. Okay, here he is.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
He's got wow! How professional does he look?
He's got his very own jacket and everything else. Okay, now
I'm straight from a stag do right here. I'm ready. Let's do it.
He's going to do our quiz today, But for those of you who are not used to this as a format, we are going to show you a quick video to show you how this quiz works. So our version is called Ergo Wang. I don't know whether you've ever heard of this as a quiz, Ergo Wang. No, because no one's copyrighted it before.
It's going to be in the dictionary by the end of the year.
It certainly will.
We're going to have to lose a word to put it in. Do you know they do that? To get a new word in.
Do they?
So Ergo Wang will take the place of...
Yeah, the word and. Let's just remove the word and put Ergo Wang. It'll be fine.
Very quickly for everyone who's watching. And you can play along at home still, okay, by voting, right? By voting for, and what I'm going to have to do quickly is put Tom in whilst this is happening. But you can vote for the person you think has given the best answer. Okay, so it's different from the normal quiz. There's no correct answer. You're voting for the person you feel has given the best answer. Okay, we're going to watch a quick clip of Number Wang, the program or the quiz show that this was based on. So let's just watch that quick.
Hello and welcome to Number Wang, the maths quiz that simply everyone is talking about. Our contestants today are Julie from Somerset and Simon, who is from Somerset. So before we begin, Julie, any hobbies down there in Somerset?
Yes.
Simon?
No.
Great. Okay. Well, if you're ready, let's play Number Wang. Julie to play first.
3,
9,
16,
12,
8.2,
4,
That's Number Wang, round 2. Simon to play first.
27,
30,
18,
54.
That's Number Wang. Let's go to the maths board. Julie?
I have the 4, the 6, and the 2.4.
That's Number Wang. We like those decimals, Julie. Simon?
I'd like the root 14 and the 12.
That's Number Wang, round 3. Julie to play first.
8 minus 4.
That's Number Wang, Simon.
109 times 17.
That's Number Wang, Julie.
47.
That's the Number Wang bonus. Triple Number Wang to Julie. So, Julie, you're ahead on 77. Simon, you trail on 83. Everything hinges on this final round. Yes, it's time for Wanganum. Let's rotate the board.
Well, now we haven't got a rotating board, but the rest of it we've got. Okay, so you get the general idea, right?
Yeah, it's really obvious how you score points in this game. Very simple.
Sure.
Yeah, it's all based. So it's slightly different. It's all based on the quality of the answers you give.
Yes.
Okay. So Addy will begin, and what we're doing is we're thinking of things that may have a bearing on ergonomics. All right. Yeah. So here, come to us one by one. We will spiel our ergonomics. Okay, out there, and then people will judge us on that on those ergonomics.
Okay. I have a question. I don't want to interrupt too much, but for anyone out there who doesn't really know what ergonomics is, so they can have the right criteria. How would you define ergonomics, just so they know how to judge us?
I think it's funnier if we don't. I mean,
the rules are there's no rules.
The rules are I'm going to decide who wins, even if the audience votes.
Okay.
Or not. Okay. For those that want to know, ergonomics comes from ergonomos. It means the law of work, and so basically it's to do with things that help us in our environment, help us do our work during the day. All right. So now you see Tom's got some advantages here because Tom can say things like drums and wooden spoons.
Yeah, ergonomic wooden spoon.
Right. Whereas for the rest of us, we may say laptop riser, keyboard, mouse, whatever. All right.
Right. Tom looks ready.
Okay.
To be honest.
So I've just got to share screen. No one might vote, and in which case, if even if one person votes out there, that would be marvelous.
Addy said he's going to decide anyway. It's going to be
I'm going to decide anyway. You can vote. You can not vote.
He's going to help all of us, right? So let's just do this anyway. So we're going to present that full screen, and we'll leave there. You can see Ergo Wang, nice little graphic in the corner. Ergo Wang.
Are we Revoxing it?
Yeah, we are actually VVoxing this bit. If people want to, so you can vote for yourself. In fact, why don't we do that? That's quite good, isn't it? I might do that. I might actually decide that that I might vote for myself or for one of you. If you go to vvox.app, there we go, and put in that number.
Well, the apps. Do you know what? Apps have ruined the world, but you do download them if you want. But what you want is wooden spoons.
Yeah,
really.
Yeah, for sure.
You don't actually have to download this one though, Tom. It's great. It's literally just I can see Ergowang on my screen. There we go. We're ready to go. So I open the first poll, and it's going to be who won round one. So is it Graham, Stephen, or Tom?
All right, let's have round one.
Let's have round one.
And Graham, if you'd like to start us off.
Mouse, keyboard, monitor, backrest, chair.
Right. Let's jump over to Stephen.
Monitor, arm, laptop, tray.
Perfect. And let's jump finally onto Tom.
Those weren't answers at all. This is meant to be entertaining, isn't it? They were just
great. Thank you, Tom.
They were lists.
Let's see who won this round. Has anyone voted?
Yep. Let's do the votes.
Great. Show them on screen. Oh, well, we're gonna
neck and neck. We're neck and neck.
Neck and neck with that one. Okay, well, let's close that one.
Yep.
Go on to round two.
If two people tie, as always, what happens is the person that wasn't involved in that tie gets the point. So Graham gets the point for that one, for not getting any votes. That's how the system works.
Makes perfect sense.
Yes, of course. So, Graham, if you could kick me off with ergonomic items in the kitchen, please.
Spoon, lid of saucepan, handle of saucepan, cat.
Awesome. We'll end on cat. Stephen.
Garlic crusher.
Just that on its own.
Yeah.
A strong statement from Stephen there. And Tom.
Almond grinder, coffee grinder, lemon grinder, rock and roll kind of spinning thing.
Oh, look at that. Stephen's absolutely taken it with the garlic crusher there.
Oh, but I've won. Hey,
Tom's won.
Well,
that's just how the system works.
Yeah, crazy.
We're not the people that make the system. We're just enforcing it.
We're the people that break it. Yep.
All right. And this is the third round. As always, the first two rounds don't count for anything. This round is the only one that counts for points.
Right.
So let's have ergonomic items that you can use whilst drumming. We'll start with you, Graham.
Drum stool, kick drum pedal.
Oh, I was going
snare.
Awesome. Thank you. Let's jump on to Stephen.
I was thinking of one of those hats like runners use that's got like a drink straw down, so you can almost drum and drink at the same time.
Yes.
But I mean, that the name is the description. I don't think I'm going with that one.
Awesome. And Tom.
Drum riser that lifts off the ground and spins in the air, allowing the drummer to keep drumming whilst rather impressing the audience.
There's absolutely no way Graham will be able to win this one. His answer was, quite frankly, rubbish compared to everyone else's. Right. Well, it looks to me like Tom has managed to take the points there. So that would seem to me like Tom is today's winner.
Yep.
Tom, you've won absolutely nothing, as always.
Yeah.
Well done, Tom.
But that's Ergowang.
Ergowang. Brilliant.
Ergowang.
Great.
There you go.
I've got a raging hangover, so I'm going. Bye.
Oh yeah, there we go.
He's gone.
Was he on a Tuesday night stag do?
Yeah. Tuesday night stag.
I mean,
young people. Yeah, I can't get my head around it.
Susan says that Neil Peart came to mind when you were mentioning your drum riser there.
There you go.
Well, of course, yeah. I mean, but the thing is, he had an enormous drum kit, so it'd have to be one hell of a riser to lift all of that.
Yeah, I mean, it was a piece of technological kind of madness, but man, what a thing to do, What?
Yeah. Have you, seriously, in all seriousness, when it comes to, before we let you go today, have you ever had any advice in your career about looking after yourself in terms of wrists or back, etc., but in terms of drumming?
Do you know what? I went to a musical master class at Ronnie Scott's by some, I won't mention who he was, but a very, very famous drummer. And everyone was asking, do you use these sticks? Do you tighten the skin this way? All about the brand and everything. And I asked this question. I said, yeah. How do you sit on the stool? Do you sit? Yeah. Because, and I'll tell you why I asked this. Because if you sit with your feet resting on the foot pedals, you're sort of leaning forward. So it's almost like you're kind of, if you imagine you're on the edge of a cliff and you've got your feet over the cliff, then you would be using the cliff to support yourself. You could still do some of both sides. But what you want to be doing, if you want complete autonomy of limbs, is you want to sort of be perched on the stool as if your feet are in the air over that cliff, right? So you can wave them at the people below and wave at the ships on the horizon. I've never actually described it this way before, but
this is now a new chapter in the book.
Right? Yeah, I'm going to have to go and revise it.
He's just about to WhatsApp the publisher. Stop the press.
Yeah, no, stop press. Because you want complete autonomy. Now, if you were to transpose that into the kind of leadership world or business motivation world, it's a very good metaphor, because most people are leaning over the cliff, holding on for dear life with their feet. And they've only got two limbs available. And most of them are sending out panic signals. But if you're kind of there with all limbs, singing, dancing, you're free, man. You're free.
Yeah.
And at least if in that freedom you accidentally fall over and splatter on the rocks below, at least you'll have had a kind of free ending. The Tibetan Book of the Dead would be proud of you.
Yeah. I mean, it's from the health and well-being point of view, it's quite an interesting fact, because, you look at someone like Phil Collins, clearly, technique-wise, although he had great technique on the drums, body-wise, it didn't really do him much good long-term, did it? I mean, the man can hardly walk now.
Is that right? I didn't know that.
Yeah. I mean, you were talking right at the beginning there, Stephen, about the Genesis cover bands, and Genesis have been touring again recently, but with Phil Collins's Phil Collins's son playing the drums, and Phil just about getting on to the stage, hobbling, and then having to sit to sing throughout most of it, because he suffered severe nerve damage in his back from playing drums over many years. So he can now barely walk. So I mean, it is really important for musicians that they do manage these things properly.
Yeah, I mean, swimming is the thing, because you can't really hurt yourself swimming 30 lengths a day, and it's really good for the mind, because sometimes I can be a bit kind of, let's say, confused.
Yeah.
But it's purely because I've got a very, very active mind. So I'm kind of running about 6 projects at the same time and trying to finance them all. And but if I get in the pool and swim 30 lengths, I'll come out and I'll just go one project. I know what needs to be done with that one project, and I'll just go away and do it. Next day I have to go swimming again, because it's all come in.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Well, one of the seating manufacturers I know actually did some work on this a few years back, and they actually used a mate of mine who's a drummer, Troy Miller, as a guinea pig, really, just looking at the way that his body moved when he drummed, and looking at the seat, because a lot of drummers just use a static stool, but they were looking to see whether they could create something that actually moved with the core a little bit more. And actually therefore and actually, if needed, actually give a little bit of lower back support around the sacrum, so that you've got something there, but it still needs to allow you to move and jive and do what you need to do.
Would that be similar to some of the dentists' chairs that exist, Graham? Is it a similar sort of concept or not? Some of those sort of saddle stools?
In terms of what you're actually talking about, or Tom was talking about, it's a similar thing in which if you think about how dentists work all day long, they do tend to work like that.
Yeah.
They tend to work perched forward, leaning forward, and actually dental nurse is even worse. As you know, my wife, that's what my wife does, and they literally will stand like that for hours on end. So yeah, it's a similar thing, but obviously you've actually got to use your leg muscles as well.
Yeah.
Whilst you're drumming, because you know your bass drum and your snare, etc. That's your legs doing the work. So I understand totally what Tom is saying. Actually, if you're restricted from the top of the legs, that's actually not clever. You're doing more of the work with your heels, then I guess, rather than the whole leg.
Yeah, and the balls of the foot. And do you know what? I write about this in the book, that when I went to school with Pete Thomas, who's the drummer with Elvis Costello and the Attractions. Right from the beginning, and way back, just when Scritty started, I went to see Pete. It was just up in Hammersmith, in a pub. You know, him and Elvis. They were just playing a local pub there. I think it's called the King's Head. And we were chatting beforehand, and the stage was about this high, right? And we were chatting beforehand, and then Elvis came out and said, "Pete, we're on." And so Pete had to jump on stage, and I noticed he's wearing the kind of sharpest winkle pickers, right? And talk about ergonomics. I'd been looking at what's the best sports shoes to get, that allow your feet to bend and all that stuff. So I was in Stan Smith's, which I wore for years, and there he was, and these winkle pickers. But he just came in, straight in with watching the detectives. I mean, and I thought, how the hell is he doing that? Because he didn't have any kind of athletic sort of nous about him. He was just straight rock and roll. I mean, that's what he always was. It's how we behaved at school. And I thought, how's he even, managing to get his foot on that pedal with those winkle pickers? And I watched him, and he was doing exactly what I said. He was just kind of perched on the stool. So he had complete autonomy. He could have played barefoot or that. So I learned a lot from that. And
that's really interesting.
Yeah, and I think that but I say, having read Mihai Csikszentmihalyi's book about flow, he says flow is found at the intersection of discipline and surrender. So you have the discipline there of all the times Pete had played and practiced, and then the surrender to, all right, Pete, we're on. And then you have to surrender at that point, because you have to go, yeah, I know the songs. It's up to me to count everybody in. Elvis is ready, bang, surrender. And then the audience get the surrender. They're not interested in the discipline. They don't care how much you practice. What they want is the surrender. That's why they like, when they say, I went to a gig and they just sort of played the album. They didn't speak to us. It was note perfect. It was good. But if they say, oh yeah, someone dropped his guitar halfway through, but do you know what? I picked it up. The rest of the band just carried on in a certain way that it enhanced the show. That is the surrender. Now I've added something to that. I said the groove is found at the crossroads of discipline, surrender, and mischief, because you can actually build those, not accidents, but you can build those points in where, like, people always know this in my live show, there'll be points where I don't know if it's going to work or not. So I say, look, we're going to try this. If it doesn't work, we can go back to the standard way, but let's try this. And then that invites them, having done the basics, discipline, surrender, now we're going to add a bit of mischief. Do you know what? 99% of the time it works, because they want to go there. They want to go to that place of creation. And then it's just completely customized within a structure. What's the question?
Who cares? It was a great answer. The question's irrelevant.
I think that those different elements are really important in terms of kind of all design process as well. I just think sometimes you just see so much out there that's just a copy of something else, is a copy, etc.
Yeah.
You know, it takes someone to. You need to know what you're structuring this on. You need to know what's gone before. You need to know what the function needs to be and the way that this needs to happen. But sometimes the creative bit is, but no one's tried that before.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. You've got to know everything that came before. You know, Bob Marley said it. Everyone says it. You know, build on the history. So you've got somewhere to go back to. And also, it means if you're inviting other people into the creative process who aren't kind of used to it, you can say, don't worry, we've got all this. All this is safe. We can always go back to what the R&D department have done, but they've brought us in to see if we can just go, you know, somewhere mischievous or with a bit more surrender or something. And because sometimes people say to me, we kind of did it, Tom. We did that thing. We sang in harmony or we danced on it. And we did it because you looked like you believed it could happen. We didn't believe it could happen. The event booker was looking anxious because this wasn't in the proposal. You know, CEO was ready to top himself if it didn't work, because this was a major thing in the conference. And I go, but you just looked like you could handle it. So we did it.
Yeah.
And I do that knowing that we can always go back a stage and I can orchestrate something wow at the end out of whatever happens, you know. So
I've always liked the Bombay Bicycle Club album title. I had the blues, but I shook them loose, because it for me it encapsulates two things. One is, you know, I was sad, but I got out of it. But also, actually, if you listen to their music, it's kind of grounded in blues, but they've developed off the top of that, and you know, that's exactly what you're saying as well. You know, if you've got that kind of, you know, everyone can always go back to da 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 da. Yeah. Right.
I mean, listen, I'll tell you a really good example. It's just popped in my head of what you're saying. Jimi Hendrix Star Spangled Banner, because he's there at Woodstock and he's going down, 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 down. So everybody's watching it. Now, if he was just to do that from the beginning, that would just be complete surrender and mischief, you know. But we have the discipline of, I know how I could play you the Star Spangled Banner all the way through perfectly. But now I'm going to mess it up a bit. But, you know, he's going to come back and resolve it in some way. I mean, there's probably hundreds of examples in the music business like that.
Yeah.
It's what I'll tell you one more Bowie story. It's you know, there's an element of remix here. You know, on a mixing desk, I've got one over here, but anyway, I'll show you next week. Yeah, you have all these faders, right? And you can push them a little bit more bass, a little bit more guitar. We seem to have lost the snare drum, push that up a little bit. And if you do that with the people who are playing on that track in the room, you'll see them come up. It's a sax player would go, sax has got a bit quiet now. And they'll just while nobody's watching, I'll push the sax up. And then the engineer will go, sax sounds a bit loud. All right, but push everything up, everything else up to balance it. And I was there with David one day, and that happened. And I'll show you what he did. It's actually a metal ruler. They'd all gone out, and there was just me and him. They'd all gone out, and this mix, right, 32 faders on this desk. He just got this metal ruler, and he just went zip. Nothing. All those hours of work, nothing. But within 4 minutes, he'd memorized the whole thing. He just said, "All right, bass, guitar." He balanced it all, and this is from that point of knowing everything that was there, willing to take the risk, surrender. I mean, wasn't that much of a risk for him. He was paying for it, but you know what I mean? So, and then when they came back, they said, yeah, I thought that was good, that mix. Yeah, it's good to go and get a bit of fresh air. But it wasn't their mix at all. It was his mix. And what businesses, I think, This is the thing that the pandemic did for us. The pandemic did this. Right, nothing. And what disappoints me to an extent of coming back is everyone's come back and they go, where was that? Where was the bass? Where was the cello? And they've done the same in mix, right? When they had the opportunity to go, do you know what? Let's try a bass heavy mix. Let's for once leave out. Let's leave out the lead guitar. That always took up too much space anyway. Let's see what we get. And what you do with that in a remix, it's the basis of a remix. You bring people to the dance floor. You bring more people to the dance floor, and you keep them for longer because you've kind of stripped out all the things that you thought needed to be there. And actually, you think, we didn't really need that. That cowbell thing, do you know what? It was a bit kind of jangly anyway. Let's leave it out, leave it out, leave it out. Let's just have the bass. So that's the opportunity the pandemic's given us. And very few people seem to have taken it. I thought I was going to be the kind of remix king, but so far I'm the kind of remix princess in the background. Sometimes just not even a princess yet, just sweeping the floor like Cinderella. I know it's coming, but and I can understand people going back to safety, to just discipline. But I'm hoping soon there's going to be a bit more surrender and a bit more mischief,
Oh, and it's going to have to happen because actually people want that remix. And I think this is the thing that a lot of businesses are really struggling with at the moment. There's this really dangerous word that's developed over the whole of the pandemic, coming out of the pandemic period. This people were doing their thing just the way they had to do their thing, and then that kind of developed into a nice groove for individuals. But now companies are trying to pigeonhole that again. I don't know what you think, Stephen, but this word hybrid is potentially quite dangerous, because what hybrid means is, let's take the fact that some of our people were working from home. We kind of want to get them back to the office. Now what we want to do is we want to formalize how that looks. So let's call that hybrid, and let's start creating a formal structure around that. So, maybe it's 2 days in, 3 days out, 3 days out, 2 days in.
And you've all got to be in on a Wednesday, but you can have half of you in on a Tuesday.
But Jenny's organised her life around the fact that, on a Tuesday she now does this with the kids, and and she works a bit later in the evening and everything. So that doesn't suit her. It might suit Mike, or it might suit Agatha over there, but it doesn't suit her. So you've suddenly got this problem where organizations they have to try and organize us, whereas really and one of the first people we had on the show was Nicola Pease, remember? Talking about the importance of flexible working. We need to promote flexible working, and yet that kind of dialogue, whilst it got elevated at the beginning of the pandemic, has now slowly been trying to organizationally been knocked down back to, well, let's see if we can call this a name and give it some.
And it needs to fit on a form, and it needs to have all these boxes here, here, and here. And I think businesses are really short-sighted if they do it, because what this opened up, and one of the themes we spoke about before, was sort of geography, and lots of other factors no longer became important as to whether you would get the job. It was whether you were maybe the right person, like you're saying about hours, days in the office, etc. By giving that flexibility to people, you were able to support a single parent who maybe had to build their hours around school drop-offs and all different things, and or family commitments, or maybe people who are carers who need to go and look after a relative, etc. You start reining that bit back in, the talent pool you can pick from starts to narrow, and you very quickly go back to what it was before. That real sort of open idea that we had for what felt like a number of months. As you say, it just sort of feels as if the walls are just, that Star Wars episode where they're sort of in that crusher and it just starts to come in and in and in and in. It feels a little bit like that. And I think why you've suddenly got a great talent pool. You're going to restrict yourself as to who you can get in to do certain jobs, and it'd be disappointing.
Can I say something about that, Stephen? If in that scenario that you just described, right, where people can do the school run, they can care for their elderly relatives, which is happening to every family in the land. It's not like just special, just a few that have to be special cases. Everybody's doing it. So that if that is honored by your employer, that is what you need to do, and you get your work done anyway, then that allows you to be in flow. That, as we've been talking a bit about flow, however you define it, doesn't have to be discipline and surrender. You could just say, I'm in a good mood at work, or I like doing my work. Whereas once that crusher starts coming in, and it's not going to crush you, it's just going to stop at a certain point, but then it goes, right, this is our new structure, it's called hybrid. Then the energy that you bring to work is one of resentment.
Yeah.
So you just think, well, all right, I'll just do what I'm told. It's almost like in the old days, they used to call it work to rule. I'll just do what I'm paid for. And because I don't really like you anymore. If you don't honor me, I'm not going to honor you. I'm just going to deliver the minimum. Whereas in that more expanded state, people go, do you know what? I could probably make that presentation a bit better. I don't mind staying up a bit because the kids are in bed, everyone's looked after. And I do it for my own pride of delivering a great presentation. You get all that energy, which is completely different. And that is, I say once again, that's what the pandemic's delivered to every business in the land. That energy is called discretionary effort. I call it, Rockstar energy. It's one of the Rockstar Activator. But discretionary effort is what they want. And they've been talking about it for decades. There'll be books full of it. The pandemic delivered it. You don't have to do 7 versions of this and 5 of them and da. It's here. We've lived it for 2 years. Let's hold on to it,
Yeah, no, totally.
Yeah, I agree. Totally.
And that in itself is a massive ergonomic principle. It's probably the biggest ergonomic principle, if we're talking about ergonomics, is actually, if you look right at the top of the ergonomic chain, is how do you allow your people to work, right? Because beyond the all of the other subsets, what equipment they need in order to make them the most productive, what environment they need to make them the most productive. The first element of that is structurally, organizationally, culturally, how do you allow your people to work? If you allow them to work with that kind of sense of freedom and flow and trust in there, then you start looking at the next things, which are, okay, they're struggling in terms of being comfortable during the day, or they're struggling in terms of systems or whatever. So how do we remove the obstacles to enable them to work more effectively? If people want to really know what ergonomics is, it's about removing those barriers. Yeah, it should be holistic ergonomics is really about saying, I've hired you because you have the talent, the skills, the energy, everything else that I need. Now, how do I facilitate you doing what I want you to do for me?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's
absolutely. I think you should just take that bit out. I was getting goosebumps listening to that, because I thought you've just defined it really, really succinctly, and that all gurus, will say, I'm only taking the obstacles that you've come to study with me thinking I'm going to give you something. I'm not going to give you something. I'm just going to take something away, take something away. I heard a great one yesterday of a teacher, a kind of Zen teacher who went beyond that. He said, I'm just going to keep giving you issues things to carry, things to do, things to add on, until you get so fed up with it, you put the whole lot down. Because that's what you need to do. And I think what you're describing there is we've added on, and like you're saying about the hybrid structure, Steve, you know, let's put it in a box, add it on. But when you put it down, you go, all right, what's the job? Oh yeah, that's easy enough. I've got this skill, that skill.
Do you know what that's all reminded me of? Just right that minute is, has anyone ever read the children's book by Julia Donaldson, A Squash and a Squeeze? You must read the children's book, A Squash and a Squeeze. I'm just going to synopsify it for you.
Yeah, I know it well. Remember it well.
Yeah. Basically, it's about an old woman, and she seeks the advice of a wise old man, right? And she says to him, "Wise old man, will you help me, please?" I don't know why she's got an Irish accent. No, wise old man, can you help me, please? My house is a squash and a squeeze. And the first thing he does is he says, right, take in your pig, right? So she takes the pig in and she puts it, I can't remember which order the animal's going, but she takes the pig in, and the pig comes into the house and causes a mess and whatever. And then she said, well, my house is a squash and a squeeze, and it carries on. And he says, take in your hen. And then it's taking your sheep, taking your cow, you know, and all of these animals come in. Mm-hmm. And in the end, you know, she said, oh, wise old man, will you help me, please? My house is a squash and a squeeze. And he says, take them all out. Mm-hmm. And then all of them go out. And she goes, whoa, you know, my house is no longer a squash and a squeeze. She suddenly realizes the room she's got.
Yeah.
And she's suddenly Scottish as well, having previously been Irish.
I know. Well, I'm glad I didn't transcend into another accent, which could have easily happened. But the point is this. It's a great, clever. Sometimes children's books actually hold very clever answers for adults. Yeah. But it's, you know, we do need to do that with our business as well. We do need to think about, you know, are we trying to fit this all in so that it fits into something that we feel that we need, or actually are we okay with everybody just out there?
Yeah.
Right. Because we were in the middle of this pandemic, we were okay with everybody out there. What we need to do is start making sure that we look after them wherever they are.
Yeah.
That's the bit that people failed on miserably.
Yeah. And if I may add an economic element to that, look after them in a way that maintains kind of economic stability in the land, rather than saying, we all used to work at the office, that kept Pret-a-Manger going. We've all got to come back to, you know, so Pret-a-Manger have their customers, which means you've all got to commute, you've all got to buy season tickets, yada. So people don't want to do that. But if in looking after them where they are, there was some economic, I suppose, counsel kind of advice, not counsel, counsel, advice to kind of keep the economy going in your area, wherever you were, it would mean a kind of more outreach, and maybe some sort of sponsorship, where I'm thinking off the top of my head. But that would be an intelligent way that the government could then support, because you'd be regenerating areas all over the land rather than...
Well, it's funny you should say that. And I've been talking recently to some people who are very entrepreneurial called Reef. And I maybe even get them on this show another week. But, you know, Stephen, we've talked about this before. All those shops that closed during the pandemic, all of those empty retail units, and all the hospitality sector, which struggled because, you know, people weren't going to pubs and clubs and everything else before. This is what Reef are doing. So you've heard of co-working spaces where, you know, specific buildings, and they're you have a subscription, and then you can go and work in the, you know, these places that are owned by certain people. They've gone beyond that. So they're creating a community via an app whereby you decide you're going to Liverpool for the day or you're going to Manchester for the day, etc. And they get on board all of those small businesses, hospitality businesses. They might even be churches. They might be, anyone that's got a space where you can go and work. Right.
Wow.
And they put it all through an app and you can go, right, I want to get, I'm going there. I want to book somewhere to work.
Oh my God. So I could do, do you know what? So there's, because I live near Richmond.
Yeah.
Richmond had a number of shops closed down during the pandemic, and they've been Richmond, of course, they're not just boarded up, they're clean windows, and you see this lovely space. I keep looking in there and going, I could run a harmony vocal group in there because it's got such great reverb. It's clean. People like to come into a clean space, and people could watch from outside without hearing you. So it kind of bring the place alive for people who want to rent it, see it. But man, I want to find out about that because I could just go to Liverpool and rather go and I need to research all the venues in Liverpool who I could, and then I have to get them to come with the keys, and then it's a palaver. Yeah, exactly. Being an event organizer is a palaver.
Yeah,
and you often have to work with resentful people who are in that crowd because they're not getting paid very well. But that sounds like a beautiful thing. I could do a tour of kind of advertising Reef, the app.
Absolutely. And do you know what's so great about it as well is it's really getting back to that economics, isn't it? It's let's help all of those businesses, smaller businesses that need to get people through the door. But it's meeting such a great need as well, because what the premise of it is that there's so many people now working from home or whatever. But if for one day a week, just when you want to choose, you can just go and choose to work maybe somewhere in your own town or your own city or whatever that's not in the home, just to get out and be with other people. That's great.
And do you know what? This also, it ties in with any books you read about creativity. They'll say, take a different route to work. Maybe eat in another cafe. This is kind of taking that post-pandemic and saying, you don't, go and work in a different place. Go and work in a different town. You might have a friend in Liverpool who you haven't seen for 2 years. Go and work in a space in Liverpool, then meet them for lunch.
Just don't forget your ergonomic accessories.
Exactly.
Exactly. That's where it all comes down to.
Well, that's where that all helps, isn't it? Well, guys, it's been absolutely brilliant talking again
great
today. I hope everybody enjoyed Ergo Wang. Everyone's going to go and rewatch Number Wang again on YouTube now. Such a brilliant sketch there by Mitchell. But
it was Mitchell. It was the old Peep Show cast, wasn't it? Mitchell Webb and Olivia Colman, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, no, it's so brilliant. I just love the bit where the bit that we cut off with the revolving thing, and we're going to revolve from now, and it just carried on going. Brilliant. Look, those shows were made. The originals of those shows were made to have the P taken out of them, weren't they? So it's brilliant. Thank you. We'll see everybody again next week with some more Wow Ergonomics. Until then, stay safe and have fun out there. Bye for now.